And I was very, very, very specific about all the things that I wanted. Well, fast forward, I believe it was June 18th, just made 4 years. So much to the dollar amount of our loan is what I put on that document. I was shocked once I went back and looked at that note. I was like, oh my gosh, I would say with, almost 90% accuracy, we got what.
Now, my favorite part. How do I prepare myself to receive those gifts, what I've been dreaming about and what I've been trying to manifest? So how do I prepare myself to actually, when it is happening, how do I take it? Hello, everybody. How's it going? Today we have Tiffani Gamboa joining us. She is a counselor and an expert on manifestation, law of attraction, and vision boards. At Infinite Icons, we are all about inspiring entrepreneurs, business owners, and anyone with bold dreams. So Tiffani is here to show us to dream bigger and also turn those visions into reality. You don't want to miss out on this one. And if you already have not subscribed to the channel, this is the perfect time to hit that subscribe button. Let's begin. Hello, Tiffani. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's so wonderful to have you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day outside. Happy to be here. Been looking forward to speaking with you again. So thank you. Thank you again.
Oh, I've been looking for this one. I'm so excited to talk to you. Awesome. So let's dive right in.
Awesome.
Yeah. How would you personally define law of attraction and manifestation?
Okay. So, for manifestation, it's kind of starting on deciding on what you want, right? A lot of the times we have different things, goals, desires, outcomes that we really, want to achieve or accomplish in our life, but sometimes they get lost in the blur of the everyday grind. We might have a job to go to, a workout, family members to take care of, so on and so forth. And sometimes we lose ourselves as far as our goals or things that we want to achieve or accomplish. So I feel like writing down your goals and really focusing in on the things that you want to believe, or maybe even the lifestyle that you want to live or accomplish. Coinciding with that, I like to say that law of attraction is once you decide on those goals, really believing, step one, that you're worthy of these things. I remember one time I was teaching a class and we were doing a vision board. And at the end, I had a student come up to me and say, well, these are great and all, but what if I don't feel like I deserve these things? Like, what if I'm not worthy to live this life that I envision? And that totally, absolutely, and completely broke my heart. I'm probably the most, optimistic. I'm probably one of the most optimistic, positive people that you'll ever meet. And so to see that someone, lacked that glimmer of hope or that inspiration or that self-confidence, to feel like they're worthy of accomplishing their wildest dreams, broke my heart. But as a professor, it's my job to kind of lift them and build them up to believe that they're worthy. So writing what you want down, and then also putting yourself in the mindset that you are worthy, that these things are accomplishable, maybe within a certain amount of time frame. So some goals are within a couple hours, couple days, couple months, and others may be years to accomplish, and that's totally fine. But just kind of living in the mindset of every decision that I make is getting me one step closer to these goals or accomplishments that I'm trying to pursue. So the the law of attraction is if you're thinking about these things and you're moving forward and you're deciding on, I'm going to make this decision because it is going to get me one step closer, you're putting your energy, your thoughts, your motives into attracting that lifestyle that you want. So that's kind of the difference between the two. I'll give you one example if you don't mind. So when a friend of mine, or not a friend, well, she's a friend and a coworker of mine, we were at work, and I often present vision board workshops at the campus that we both work at. Her and I were both talking, and one day we said, hey, what if we did a vision board and then like a visualization workshop together? What do you think? Like, how would it be perceived at work? And we were both like, yeah, like, let's talk to our bosses about it. They can say yes, but they can also say no. And if it's meant to be, it'll work out. And if it isn't, then maybe we'll do it on our own. And so we brought it up to our boss, and they were like, yeah, sure, absolutely. And so we looked at ourselves and we're like, we manifested this. Like, we had this idea, right? We acted upon it, and it was supported. And had they told us no, then so be it. Maybe we would offer it as a workshop for our family and friends, or even, the public, or someone, who was interested in supporting us. But we eventually did do the workshop multiple times. It's well attended. So many people enjoy it, have wonderful feedback, and it's just something that's near and dear to both of our hearts. And we continue to make little actions or decisions to kind of continue pursuing that on a day-to-day, month-to-month basis. So that's my experience with it.
Absolutely brilliant and so beautifully put. Right. The mindset and how we think about things are so crucial, even in business and entrepreneurship. So it's like, yeah, mostly we start with the mind.
Yes.
Anything. So you first visualize or you think about it. Even that very thought is so important.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, could you please tell us a little more on how to organize your thoughts, or how to channelize them and keep it positive? Because it's super easy to get the negative way because of our own experiences or the environment or people around. You watch TV, you could just, catch hold of negativity any minute. But how do you stick to the positivity and stay to your goals?
So for me personally, it's funny because I had a friend come up to me one time, and we were at a conference and we were on a walk, and I saw someone that I had known, and I went up to her and I embraced her. I gave her a big hug. I introduced her to my friend, and my friend and I kept walking, and she goes, "Can I tell you something?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And she goes, I don't know if you understand this or not, or if you even recognize this about yourself, but you have an energy, and it's very positive, and it's very uplifting, and it's very motivating. And she goes, I don't know if you recognize it or not, but in case you don't, I just wanted to bring it to your attention. So I think, subconsciously, without even trying, this is just who I am at the core. But
that's sweet.
The ultimate compliment ever. I'm so flattered by her expressing that, because we can think things about people all the time and not let them know. And that's fine. But also, when you get a compliment, whether it's your glasses, your dress, your style, your car, whatever, it kind of does build up our confidence. It does give us that little, high or smile on our face, and so anyways, how we're putting in our mindset things to be more positive or optimistic. I like to use the example of, one particular summer I was working out a lot, and you can look at it as getting on the treadmill or the stepper or whatever and trying to focus on not falling off, right? It's not your normal routine. This is new to you. You're trying to get in a new healthy habit, which is great. but you're focusing on what you don't want happening, which is falling off, right? And so that simple mindset of, I'm going to do everything that I can to stay on this treadmill, right? Kind of the glass half full, glass half empty perspective. You know, there's two ways to look
Right.
at it. And for those people who may not be that positive or optimistic person like myself, it is going to be new and it may feel awkward to kind of train yourself, right? Based on what your lived experiences are or other influences, you may not be hardwired to just automatically think that way, right? You've been conditioned. It's almost like a braid where you've been braided, you know, a certain way, and you're having to unbraid before you have to learn this new habit again, right? You have to unwire your old habits, but always trying to think of the positive or optimistic side of things. And there are, you know, a positive that come out of, you know, almost any situation. Even I was in a car accident a couple years back, and I was suffering from extreme anxiety and depression, and I didn't understand, you know, how my brain could think that way, because it was so foreign to me. That is the total extreme of who I normally was, and it felt like a light switch was flipped up or down, whatever way, and it would not move, right? But I just had to keep reminding myself, you know, this happened for a reason. Like, maybe it's because one of my kids in the future would be experiencing this. Maybe it's one of the students that is going to come to me in a future counseling session would be explaining to me how they're, you know, depressed or coming and dealing with anxiety, that I would be able to relate to them. Because before it was like, oh yeah, you suffer from anxiety. I'm sorry, you know, we have resources, but I can't on a person-to-person level relate. So bad things happen, and it's just like, what is the teachable moment that came out of this? You know, how can we grow from this or better our lives or other people's from our experiences?
Oh, yeah. First of all, really sorry about that. No, to hear that car accident, and
Thank you.
love the way how you bounced back and learned a beautiful lesson out of that whole situation.
Yeah.
It could easily be, you know, treated in a very depressing and negative way, but yeah,
No,
beautiful.
absolutely. You know, I don't wish that upon anyone, but I feel like already, and it's been a little over 2 years, there's so many students that I have been able to help, and that's within the small time frame. So I'm I don't want to say thankful, but thankful that it happened, because it changed my perspective of, you know, mental health. Not that I had anything bad to say or you know, go against it, but at the same time, like I said,
Give
that
you a
lived
different
experience
perspective
gives you a
altogether.
different perspective.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. So lovely.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, of course, coming out of such situations is very hard, and
Yeah.
I'm glad it's all over now.
Yes, absolutely. It actually inspired me to I've always been an artist kind of on the sides, or in um, I have a small side business shooting photography, but that accident inspired me to go back to school, so because art was something that healed me, and I kind of, you know, that love of art and creativity resurfaced in a new medium, if you will, and I want to go back and pursue higher education so that I can teach art. So maybe that was the reason. I don't know. I'm just trying to pull from it as many positives as I can.
Mm, yeah. Oh, I didn't know that you were, you know, into photography as a hobby and also a side business.
Yes, yes.
Lately. Amazing. So you do outdoor photography, or what is it?
Yeah, outdoor. I do families, and you know, sometimes I'll do maternity. I just do it for fun on the side. It started off with a friend. She was engaged and she said, "Hey, can you take my pictures?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I took them on her camera, and I gave it to her to develop at, the store. And she said, they're asking for a photo release form. And I said, well, just tell them that your friend took the pictures. And they're like, no, they need a photo release form. I said, well, I'm not a professional. Like, I just took pictures. And she insisted. So I had to go and give her a photo
The
release
permission,
form,
yeah.
to print out the pictures. And I said, well, I guess if, the store thinks that I'm worthy of taking them, that I can on my own. And so kind of from that moment, I, evolved, and that was back in 2005. So I've been working for a while, it's not my main bread and butter, if you will, but it's a creative outlet that I have on the side, and, just some fun money that me and my family can go and do fun things with. So very casual, but still, satisfying that need for creativity.
Right. So beautiful. Yeah, I love that. Oh, cool. So, Tiffany, I think we should talk about vision boards now. So,
Yes.
what are vision boards? Do they need action? And what makes them so powerful?
So I don't know how or when I did my first one. I remember watching the movie The Secret, right? And it talks about all the things that we're talking about today. So manifestation, law of attraction, and in one of the clips is a vision board, right? So step one, how I presented in the classes or the workshops that I do, is to think about the things that you want to achieve or accomplish, or, envision your best self or your best life, right? What does that look like? What does that feel? What is the salary that goes along with it? What is the commute to the drive of your dream job look like? What does the house or the jewelry or, the feelings that come along with this lifestyle look like or feel like, right? So first I have my clients or my students sit down and write, could be 10 things, 15 things, 20, 30. Please don't limit yourself, right? Write down the things that you want to accomplish. Like, what does your ultimate, best, highest self look like? And I like to add to that, sometimes go even higher. Like, give yourself credit for more than you think that you even have the potential to, because there is no limit, I would say, in manifestation. And so once you have those things may change over time, right? And so just knowing that your goals at 19 versus your goals at 27 versus your goals in your 30s, 40s, 50s, they're going to evolve and they're going to change over time. But for now, write both your small and your, bigger goals, and write them down. And depending on the format of the workshop or presentation or class that I'm doing, I either have students do it on a computer, and so they just get a blank like PowerPoint slide, and then they copy and paste images onto that slide, right? Sometimes if I'm doing an in-person workshop, we'll provide the paper, the magazines, the tapes, the stickers, the phrases. And if you're working online, it's a little bit easier because you can be more specific with what you're trying to manifest, versus if you're working with magazines, you're kind of limited to what is offered in that issue, if you will. But you'd be surprised with what you can find. And I have, my students or my clients go ahead and cut out the visual of that dream life or goal that they want to live. And you can put it with tape or with glue, and I have them just put it on a board. And I make sure that they're not limited to just images, because something like faith doesn't have to necessarily have an image to define it, right? It might be a word or a phrase, a small sentence or a paragraph, but there's something that can resonate to them on a personal or individual level. And, create a board or a space of inspiration. Like, what does all those things that they wrote down look like to them, right? Whether it's a physical attribute, they want to cut their hair, they want to pierce their nose, they want to, change something about their self-image. I went to a conference with a guy, and he said, I teach a certain subject, it's kind of dry, and I feel like that, overflows into the class. I said, well, why don't you change, or, change up your class a little bit by catching their attention? Like, wear a red shirt instead of your typical gray. I'm sure if you walk in black and white and they see a gray shirt, it kind of wakes us up, like, this is out of his routine. I wonder what inspired him, and that will kind of create conversation. And not to change who he is as a person, but I remember a professor had done the same for me in grad school, and he's like, little things sometimes wake us up from the small routine that we're normally used to. You wake up, you go to work, you eat dinner, you shower, you go to bed, you go to work, wake up, so on and so forth. So these little routines, catch us out of our mundane, normalcy. And so it doesn't have to be you change the whole curriculum or you dress up like a clown head to toe. These little small changes can sometimes spice things up and catch people's attention. So getting your all your images and all your phrases on your board is kind of the first step. And then the second one, again, is realizing that you have the potential and the worth to achieve all of those things. And when I do my workshops, my coworker, she does the visualization and actually says, okay, if it's a job, what do you feel like when you're at your desk or on the field of that position, right? What are the smells? What are the tastes? What are the sounds that you experience? Like, really put yourself there. In the movie The Secret, they do the same. Like, if you want a car, go to the dealership, right? Test drive that car. Imagine what you're going to feel like when you're in that car, right? Really put yourself in the mindset that you can achieve this, and kind of piece by piece, little by little, things will start happening in your life to get you closer to achieving that goal, that dream, or that aspiration. So that's kind of where I start off with my students. And I think one of the last and most important parts is have it visual, where you can see it daily, right? On your refrigerator, on your mirror, somewhere in your car, a screensaver in your phone, right? You look at your phone every day, you look at the refrigerator every day, you go to the bathroom every day. It's going to be a constant reminder of what you're trying to pursue and maybe impact the decisions that we make throughout the day.
So true. Yeah. And, the causing that tiny disruptions, as you mentioned, is so interesting. And it definitely makes you think differently and do differently. And definitely the results are different also.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Instead of driving to the gym, you can walk. You park on the right side, park on the left. It not only shakes you up, but maybe your partner up too. Like, hey, why are you on my side? You see a different side of the curb, or, you just get a different perspective of life. That is kind of a breath of fresh air, if you will.
So true. Yeah, I always believe that, if you want to bring a change, do things differently. If you keep doing the same things, obviously the result is going to be the same. So
absolutely,
a change, do differently and see what happens. If that works, excellent. Otherwise, change that difference, whatever you need to do.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be, sometimes we catastrophize things. Oh, I need to start working out. I need to work out 3 hours a day. No, a 15, 20-minute walk on your lunch break is a good place to start. And then small increments add to it. I want to stop drinking creamer. Okay, we'll just put a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less until you're drinking black coffee. Like, it doesn't have to be an overnight, change, if you will.
Yeah, probably that sustains a longer way,
Absolutely.
right? Smaller steps and in increments is always better than an abrupt, huge change, which you will not be able to handle more than a day or two. So,
Yeah, it's not
good in
sustainable.
moderation, it's good.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So, before we proceed, I have a quick question for our audience today.
Yes.
So, here it goes. What is one thing you would put on your vision board if there were no limits? So, now we know how to create a vision board and what are the benefits, how we get started. So, let's see in your comments what you would start with. Oh, for the audience, and you should also, yes, go ahead.
Yes,
Tell us
please do
what would
tell
you,
us.
if at all, it was your very first vision board. What?
Absolutely. And I'm going to
Yeah.
go ahead and add to that, and again, encourage you all to dream bigger than you anticipated. Can I tell a little story of my
Please,
manifestation?
please. Yes.
Okay, so it was 2020. I was living in a condo with my husband and my two kids. I was pregnant with my third. My mom was an agent at the time, and she said, "You should sell your condo, come live with me for a little bit, and then we'll get you in a new house before the new baby comes." And so I said, okay. We sold our condo, we moved in with her, and the market during 2020 was not as we anticipated. It was the wild, wild west out there. Nonetheless, I had gotten COVID. I was stuck in the room for 10 days by myself. And so it put a halt to our house buying journey. And I was like, dang darn it, I'm going to manifest a house for us. And so I kid you not, I have the notepad in my phone. I wrote down all the things that I wanted in a home. And at first, we wanted a 3-bedroom house. I have a boy and 2 girls. The girls can share. My son could have his own, and then for me and my husband. But I was dreaming bigger. And so I put a 4 to 5 bedroom house, right? I put 2 to 3 bathrooms. I put, I wanted yard space. I wanted this. I wanted that. And I was very, very, very specific about all the things that I wanted. Well, fast forward, I believe it was June 18th, just made 4 years that we've been in our current home. I'm actually sitting in the 5th bedroom of our house. Had I gone with my initial thoughts or intentions of wanting a 3-bedroom home, we may have not been here before. I added a 5th bedroom, and we got it. So much to the dollar amount of our loan is what I put on that document, to the penny. And so I'm just amazed at the potential of the things that we can receive, if you really put your heart and your mindset into accomplishing those things. And it took us 19 offers. Don't get me wrong. It was a journey for us to get here, right? It wasn't just, the next day we went to an open house and la-di-da, here we are. But I literally, if there was 12 things on that list, I would say we got like 9.5 out of those 12 things that we wanted. The other ones we are kind of in the works of. We want to add an additional bathroom, a certain style of the home. We can kind of create that on our own. But I was shocked once I went back and looked at that note. I was like, oh my gosh, I would say with, almost 90% accuracy, we got what I had dreamed or envisioned for us. So if like I said, if I can do it, so can you. Don't limit yourself. Dream bigger than even what you think is, your max capacity.
Oh my God, I'm so happy for you. And it is really mind-blowing that you manifested such a beautiful dream and a big one. It's not a small thing that, you dreamt of something very small and you got it, but a home and a huge one, it's amazing.
It's I feel blessed and so, thankful. I think that kind of going back in step one, one added extra layer is talking about gratitude and, showing appreciation for the things that you did have. Like, yes, I did have COVID, but so is everyone at this point, one time or another. We have these small setbacks and really reminding yourself what can come from this incident. Like maybe something bad in the community happens, but a law comes into place or some sort of larger change that comes into place. And so one person may suffer, but the rest of the community may, eventually be saved or benefited from that. Or the incident of, my accident, thankfully, myself and my family, our lives was spared. And so that's what's most important at the end of the day. Not only that, but I've been able to help other people as well from my experience. So just waking up every day, being grateful. I have it a habit with myself and my family every night before my kids go to bed. We say, what are we thankful for? And one thing that we love. So, my kids, we've been doing this since they were babies, but right now they're 8, 6, and 4, and we all have bad days. And so we know that every once in a while I get a not today, and that's fine. There's some days where you just can't find anything to be grateful for, but that doesn't mean that good things aren't ahead of you tomorrow.
Yeah, so true. I know. I love it the way you have been having that gratitude throughout this conversation. That has been a common factor in every incident you're saying, quoting. The gratitude has been a big highlight, actually. So, how do we practice or make gratitude as a normal, regular thing?
Yeah.
We might be thankful for some simple joys or sheer joys, or something nice happened to you, or even, the universe took care of you from getting into something. There
Yeah.
are incidences where, we would be like, after the incident, we would think that, oh my goodness, thank God I just stepped out. I don't know what told me, but I did.
Yeah.
So that's when, purest form of gratification actually you can feel. So how can we make it as a normal thing? You said that end of the day you give gratitude to whatever happened during the day. That's an amazing practice for anybody to follow. Are there any more ways we could do that?
So I would say, step one, make it a habit, just like anything else, whether it's at the beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day, give yourself a time where you do it. It's like clockwork. Maybe it's when you brush your teeth. You're not going to not brush your teeth. So when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, think of one thing that you're grateful for. I like to share it with another person because then it makes a habit between the two of us, right? And so that's something that we can both do together. Another thing that I do personally, a lot of times people see a penny on the floor and they just walk by. What can you buy with a penny these days? Nothing. But for me, for years, I don't know how or why I started this. Every time I see a penny, I pick it up and I think like, this is a reminder from the universe that I'm lucky. And it's funny because usually it happens when my kids are fighting, we get out of the car, I'm frustrated, and then I'll find a penny on the floor. And I'm like, okay, I'm lucky. I have so many reasons to be thankful for. And then if I find a nickel or a dime, like I'm really lucky. And it's funny because my kids, they're like, Mom, I found a dime, I'm rich, and in reality, are they rich? Maybe not
Maybe,
physically,
yeah.
but in spirit and in their mind, they are, right? So those reminders come in different times of the day. It doesn't have to be a penny. It can be, every time you see a butterfly or every time you see a rainbow, like sometimes just asking like, okay, I need this reminder, universe, God, Buddha, whoever you believe in. And you'll be surprised at how these little reminders come to you. And usually it's when you need it the most, when you're stressed or there's traffic or whatever. It's like you get to your car, or, you know, you're walking to a location and, oh, there's a penny. Okay, I am lucky. Like, my
Yeah.
kids are fighting, but I know a lot of people that are suffering with infertility. So this comes along with the good and the bad, you know, or you're sitting in traffic, but I also can't afford a car and I can't afford gas, which is crazy expensive
Mm,
now. So just kind of having that little reminder throughout the day, like pick something, and you'd be surprised how often it comes up throughout the day. But again, just picking one point in your day and making it a routine to verbally or mentally be thankful for the big and small things in life, you know, clean air, fresh clothes, a roof over our shoulders. There's so many things to be thankful for.
true, true. Wow, I love this. I think I'm going to start,
Yeah.
doing this. Something very unique, and I want to see like how frequently will I actually come across that. So first of all, I need to find something unique
Yes.
when in a regular general
Yeah.
day. So,
Yeah.
um,
Let me know what it is. I'm curious to see
definitely,
what it is, and then B, how often it shows up.
definitely, and I would be like, it's a reminder to say thanks, and I love that.
Uh, awesome.
Right. Excellent. So, moving on, we need to talk about patience.
Uh-huh.
How do we practice patience? Because Tiffany, I'm not kidding. We are in a instant gratification time.
Oh, absolutely.
Just by a click of a button, a swipe, a scroll, you will find something, whatever you need.
Yeah.
So, how do we? So far, we have done our vision boards and prayed for our dreams to come true and everything. Now it's the test of time.
Yes.
Stay patient and allow the universe to make it real for you. How
Absolutely.
do we do that?
So again, like with everything, I would say it's just practice. You know, we've been hardwired to be a certain way or act a certain way. And I had talked about, you know, the braiding, right? We have to unbraid our old habits of thinking that things come instantly, because in some situations they do, right? But in other situations, it's a timely matter. You know, say I had given up on searching for a home on offer 18, you know, 18 offers is a lot. It's a long time
Right.
to be waiting, especially moving back in with your parents, with your husband and two kids, you know. But we stayed optimistic and just said every no is one step closer to yes, right? So think of it as, you know, you're planting a seed. You put a seed in the ground and you water it and it gets sun, and you know it, here's the ground, and the seed is down here and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting till it surfaces. It doesn't mean that it's not growing to your visible eye, but maybe on the backgrounds behind the scenes some things are manifesting, and all the things have to align before that seed actually surfaces. So just constantly reminding yourself why you want this. You know, I often tell students, if you want to create a certain version of yourself or meet certain people, right, you have to expose yourself to that community, right? So if you want to be more artsy, right, and you want to, you know, take up painting or go to art walks, well, you can't do that from sitting at the comfort of your own home. You have to research and find out where's the nearest art walks. You know, can I go maybe make plans with the friends and see a gallery? Going and, you know, maybe looking at YouTube so that you can start practicing, or even going to Michael's to picking up the supplies, right? But all of these small steps, even though you're being patient, you're still getting yourself one step closer. So it's almost putting the pointing the finger back at yourself, like what small steps are you doing to make this step a reality? You know, if it's wanting a new car, okay, well, a car's not just going to show up in your driveway. Have you done your research? Have you test drove it? Like, what small steps are you doing to make sure? Have you gone to the bank to see how much you qualify for? There's little things without, pulling the trigger and actually purchasing a car that you can do to kind of get you to that finish line. And so just, I think, reprogramming yourself, like, oh yeah, getting myself one step closer. Like, maybe I don't have the car right now, but I've done X, Y, and Z, and I just have a few more steps before that car ends up. A phrase that I like to tell my students often is, and it works almost in every goal setting aspect, it's more important for me to X than it is Y. It's more important for me to study than it is to hang out with friends. It's more important for me to, save money than it is for me to go out and spend on whatever, pointless, experience that you were going to do, or meal that you were going to meet up with a friend. Maybe if you still want to hold on to those relationships, go on a hike. You can still have connections and be out with people and save money, or meet up with them and just have a water or a coffee and not have a full $15, $25 plate.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what you value, how quickly you want to obtain your goals, and just remembering your why. Like, why do you want this? Is it your goal? Is it a parent's goal? The best outcomes, I always tell students, is to do this for yourself, because you're going to be living with this decision, whether it's an education, a car, a spouse. It's you that has to go to bed happy with that decision at the end of the night. So just remembering, I'm doing this, I'm making this sacrifice for this ultimate payout in the end.
Yeah, it's almost just like how we discussed, tweaking those small changes, instead of, as you said, having a whole meal, just stick to something which you can afford at that moment. And then you have done yourself a favor.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always workarounds. You just have to be, I would say, open to and flexible to new things and new experiences. And maybe you weren't a hiker before, and you go on this beautiful hike, and now you like hiking. And so I try and just be open to different experiences and different opportunities, because I feel like the words always and never are opportunities for the universe to be like, oh yeah, you always this, well, here's this instance. Or you never that, okay, well, here's this instance. So just being open and flexible to just different things and opportunities that come your way.
Awesome. Yeah, now my favorite part. How do I prepare myself to receive those gifts, what I've been dreaming about and what I've been trying to manifest? So how do I prepare myself to actually, when it is happening, how do I take it?
Well, first thing, we're starting out by showing gratitude, right? So we're just thankful for all the things that have come and been put into our life, both big and small. We have the list of accomplishments that we want to do. We have the visual. We're trying to change our mindset in maybe big or small ways to kind of be in alignment with those goals. And then again, it's almost like starting the cycle over again, and then just showing gratitude. Thank you, universe. Thank you, God, Buddha, whoever you believe in. Like, I did it. I made it. I accomplished this tangible thing, the spiritual thing, whatever it was that you had put on your board, and really just soaking in appreciation for those things. I always tell students when they come into the office frantic about whatever it is that they're going through, and I was like, have you heard of the phrase blood, sweat, and tears, right? You're in the thick of it right now, but think of it as like a spool of yarn, right? Yarn, it comes and when you pull it, it kind of gets knotted, right? So sometimes we think growth or achievement is linear, and it's not all that way. It's the ebb and the flow and the ups and the downs and the swirls, and maybe back 3 steps and forward 2, right? But in that moment, truly, showing appreciation and gratitude that A, you are worthy, and B, that you accomplished those things. And so kind of going back to what I was saying, when I've created vision boards before, I like to use tape, and I take the things that I've accomplished and I put them on the back as a reminder of, oh yeah, I got that new car, or oh yeah, I got that new phone, or that puppy, or whatever it was that you had initially wanted, as a reminder. Because sometimes we receive things, and I know my kids, they'll want a toy, they'll play with it for 2 days, and then they forget that they have it, right? Same for us grown-ups as well. So we work so hard to achieve something, and then the sparkle or the glimmer kind of dies down eventually over time. But if you have that reminder of like, I worked so hard and I made all these sacrifices for this thing, it's kind of a nice little reminder of all of the things that you've accomplished. Not only that, now you have space for new goals and accomplishments on the front of your dream or vision board. And so I have a student one time who had done a vision board in one of my classes, and a year or 2 later I saw her in the counseling office, and she goes, oh my gosh, can I show you something? I said, yeah. And she goes, I created this vision board in your class, and I had put on it that I wanted X, Y, and Z. And she goes, look at this. This is a picture of the puppy that I wanted. I had put it on my dream and vision board, and like, here it is. Like, I have it. Isn't that cool? I was like, that's so amazing, So I think also too, having people that can be optimistic and in the same goal oriented mindset as you, in order to share your joys and comfort you in your sorrows or maybe setbacks a little bit. But sticking with people that are the same mindset as you is helpful as well, because they're there to lift you up, but then also to congratulate you in your accomplishments.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, that's amazing. And there are instances of imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, most of us do experience it in some way or the other, in some proportions. Coming to the manifestation tool, how can what have you got to, how can you comfort us with that imposter syndrome? Because we might even not think about something thinking that, I don't think I could do that. So that's pretty common, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I had a friend / coworker of mine who's been on a lot of hiring committees, and she had told me, half the time people come in, males usually, and they're so underqualified, but they go in there with the confidence saying, I know this, I can do this. They just tell themselves, I am worthy, I am capable, and I will figure it out in order to get this job, right? So just rewiring yourself. We are our biggest critics sometimes. We're so fearful of what other people are thinking or judging us by. And I think about it this way. You go to the grocery store and you see a kid tantruming, or a person with a funny hairstyle or whatever, and they catch your attention for a couple seconds, and you move on with your day. And if there was a true incident that happened, you may share it with a friend or whatever, and then you never really think about that person ever again. And along the way of your grocery trip, how many, dozens or maybe hundreds of people do you walk by and not notice? You know what I mean? Like, people always think that other people are noticing them, and half the time they're not. It can sometimes be in our head like, oh, I walked out and I didn't realize that my skirt was undone, or I had toilet paper on my shoe, or whatever. And at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. And you'll probably never see those people again. And if they talked about you, it was with their closest friend who they will never see you. And it's really not that big of a deal. So just humbling yourself and saying, that was embarrassing. Oh, well, and not taking it to heart. It's not going to ruin your day. Nobody's losing sleep over it, but most likely yourself, right? Just again, telling yourself you're worthy, telling yourself you're deserving, telling yourself that you have the potential to do this. A friend was saying that she wanted to start running, and I said, you should totally do it, right? And she goes, but I can't run. And I said, well, maybe you can't run today, but that doesn't mean that you can't start with a quarter mile and then a half a mile tomorrow and then 3/4 miles the next day, those small increments, right? So I think just with imposter syndrome, just the glass half full. You have to be that self advocate that says, I'm worthy. I remember when I first started photography, I had been following a girl on Instagram, and we were both at the same skill set. And I kept watching her do shoots and watching her do shoots and watching her do shoots. And so she was improving and I was staying the same. But I also wasn't doing anything with my photography. Like, I was just watching in admiration, but I wasn't actually shooting. And so finally, once I took that leap of faith and I started shooting and shooting and shooting, then we, eventually caught up at skill set. But it wasn't until I took that first step to better myself or my skill set or, my playing field that I'm not going to grow if I don't get out of my comfort zone. So yes, it may feel weird. Yes, it may feel uncomfortable, but that's only at the beginning. And eventually over time, you're going to get better, or you're going to realize, like, maybe this isn't for me and that I should change my goal that I'm trying to achieve. Maybe it's not running. Maybe I'm going to do better in swimming, or maybe it's not photography. Maybe I do better with painting or whatever. Don't X out your goal completely. Just make small changes or alterations to still get that fulfillment, but maybe in a different avenue.
So true. Yeah, can't agree more on actually starting something. Excuse me. And then, you will figure out things, how it works and how you should adapt yourself.
Yeah.
And end of it, you will feel that, oh, why did I put away this small thing for so long? I could have done it much sooner, and a little bit of regret also. Why didn't I do it back then? So, yeah, as you said, just start and then things will open up.
It's our own insecurities getting in the way, but half the time we're catastrophizing them, and it's so unnecessary. So give yourself grace. Know that, it's not going to be perfection day one, whether it's learning a new sport, a new trade, creating some new habit. It's all going to take time, but you're going to be better on day 3 than you were 1, just as you're going to be better on year 3 than you were on day 0. So just getting up and getting started is the first step, and then the rest will kind of evolve or manifest into something bigger and greater.
Oh, lovely. How beautiful. Yeah, I think that's so very true. Most of us can relate to that. Starting and then things actually guide you, and then you actually finish doing whatever you started. So
Exactly.
That's so cool. So cool.
Exactly.
All right, Tiffani, now we hit the fast 5 questions where you can give me short answers. So what was the first thing you ever manifested?
Ooh.
Do you remember, or it happened without your knowledge?
Oh man, I couldn't even tell you that. I've been doing dream and vision boards for so long that I can't even recall the first thing there. I know I have all my boxes somewhere in the garage, but I remember one time it was something as simple as a yellow jacket, and I was doing other things, but I was like, I like this yellow jacket, and I put it on the board. And then a couple months later, I was like, I have this jacket. Like, with that, be caution. Like, be careful what you wish for. Like, it could be something as simple as that, you put on there for fun, and little did I realize I would eventually have it. So
Lovely. And vision boards, digital or old school cut and paste?
I'm gonna say digital, only because you can be more specific with the images versus relaying on magazines, but I am a hands-on 3D person, so I'm okay with both. It's
Okay.
a hard one for
Yeah.
me.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Yeah. Yeah. And also, it depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So, definitely, yeah.
People also have random magazines all the time. So if you ask on Nextdoor or Facebook Marketplace, hey, I'm looking to do this activity, does anyone have spare magazines? People always need to throw away magazines. So you don't necessarily have to go to the store, because they are kind of costly.
True. What's your favorite free time activity?
So the artsy fartsy person in me, I was supposed to go to school for interior design. So I like home decoration, shopping. Asked my husband, I'm constantly like changing the house in different, either furniture or maybe frames or artwork. He was like, I thought this was there. And I was like, it was, but now it's here. And so I would say interior design and decorating. Also alongside with that is party planning.
Oh, fun, fun, fun. Yeah. All right. If manifestation had a soundtrack, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a hard one. That one I might have to phone a friend or come back to. I'm a survivor. I mean, I won't give up, by Beyonce, but I know there's a better one. That's just the first thing, just not giving up and kind of continuously pursuing your goals.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the first thing that popped into my mind.
That's so cool. Yeah. I also was thinking about Never Say Never by Jaden Smith, and there's another guy. I forget his name.
Oh,
So, yeah, Never Say Never.
I'll have to go check it out. So never say
Never.
Okay, I got it.
Probably. And, Mission Impossible also.
Yeah,
Pops up sometimes.
for sure. Absolutely.
With all those, the intensity and fun and everything.
Absolutely.
Right. And one word to describe you?
I would say joy.
Love it. Love it. And it's so true. It was fantastic, Tiffani. I enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you so much. Do you have any words of wisdom for our audience today?
Well, thank you again for having me. It's been such a pleasure. I can't just, reiterate enough. Everyone is worthy of all of their wildest dreams. It's not like there is a maximum capacity and that people can achieve more than X, Y, or Z. Mention what your goals are, visualize them, put yourself in the mindset of, this is my life, this is what I'm going to feel like, or this is how I'm going to breathe in this new environment, or just really truly put yourself in the place, the mindset, the spirit of, you're worthy, that you have the potential, and making these small actions and small steps to get yourself to that goal will eventually do so. And more importantly, like you said, not giving up, right? Continuously making these small steps as the seed is still maturing underground. Make sure that you don't give up before it surfaces. So just know that the universe is working in the direction to give you what you want. It's just us being patient and showing gratitude along the way.
How beautiful. I love that, the seed and plant analogy you use. It's so relatable that there is the seed you have sown, but you have to give it the nourishment, that's their action, and wait for the sunlight and the environment to work on it and give you the benefits. So,
Absolutely.
so lovely.
Yes.
Thanks, Tiffany. It was so wonderful to have you today. And thanks for that reassurance that with dream, hope, and action can go a long way. Thanks
Yes.
so much. I wish you all the best.
Same to you. Same to you. Thank you.